The education minister is not well prepared and just sitting there and laughing. NDC MPs taking on the education minister over his appearance at the Government Assurances Committee of Parliament with a fierce fight back by the minister.
Because all the answers that he's giving, it looks like he's not well prepared, and he's not prepared to come and meet the committee, and he has been sitting there laughing as if he's not being serious or something like that.
Honorable member, please.
No, I'm talking about his comment. That is not acceptable.
We have details as the committee turns away Deputy Minister for Fisheries, insisting they want the minister herself to appear before them.
Cannot allow any deputy to stand in for her. So we require that it should be deferred to a favorable.
Government raises less than 7% of its revenue target from the controversial e-levy for the second quarter of the year. We'll bring you details. The NDC party card registration in the Ashanti region has been oversubscribed.
Not surprised that people are rushing in droves to come and sign up and become NDC members. It will be translated into the 2024 elections. And what we are doing is a deliberate attempt.
Hello again, thanks for joining us. There was a fierce exchange of words between NDC MP for Afram Plains South, that's Joseph Apia-Boateng, and the Education Minister, Dr. Yawase Duchum, at Parliament's Government Assurances Committee. The minister had been invited to provide answers on promises he made to MPs on the floor, on the House, and a report on the delivery so far. However, the Afram Plains South MP was not happy about the demeanor of the minister, accusing him of not taking the committee serious and just sitting there and laughing. Parliamentary correspondent Kweku Ashanti has the rest of the story from today's sittings.
Education Minister Dr. Yawase Duchum had been telling the committee that more than 6.4 million textbooks had been produced and distributed to the regions.
A number of textbooks distributed to the various regions. 6.4 million textbooks have been produced and distributed, and the distribution is ongoing.
This answer and the demeanor of the minister did not satisfy the NDC MP for Afram Plains South, who took on the minister in some strong words.
Because all the answers that he's giving, it looks like he's not well prepared, and he's not prepared to come and meet the committee, and he has been sitting there laughing as if he's not being serious or something like that.
Honorable member, please.
No, I'm talking about his comment. That is not acceptable. Yes. I come before you as colleagues. You want me to sit here and frown?
To cry.
And we are on live TV.
I'm giving you the opportunity to withdraw and please apologize and rephrase your question, please. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I think first of all, Madam Chair. You see, first of all, when Minister came in, the answer that he was giving was false. He said that he has fulfilled all his promises. Meanwhile, it took more than 15 months, and yet schools hasn't received those books. And now you are calling me to apologize to the first false information that he gave to the House.
I think that even makes it worse. I didn't lie to you.
Honorable Minister.
I sincerely withdraw whatever that I said earlier on. No?
Progress there.
There were a few more fierce exchanges between NDC members on the committee and the Education Minister.
Kweku Ashanti there with that report. Now, Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia has assured Ghanaians that corruption and infractions at the port will soon be a thing of the past, following the successful completion of an automated system to generate tax clearing certificate. His comments come as the tussle between the special prosecutor and the La Bianca Company Limited in what the OSP finds to be questionable operations at the port. The shift from the manual tax clearance certificate to an automated one is expected to go live in October this year. The move is targeted at cutting back on the use of discretionary powers, which mostly leads to corruption at the port. Dr. Bawumia said this at the ongoing two-day International Tax Conference here in Accra.
Speaking at the conference, Dr. Mahmoudou Bawumia identified inefficient government bureaucracy, among other infractions, as key drivers to the revenue shortfalls in Ghana and other developing economies.
For the purpose of promoting tax compliance, the Commissioner General has maintained a system of tax clearing certificates in accordance with Sections 10 and 11 of the Revenue Administration Act. This process of obtaining the tax clearance certificate has been done manually with the issuance of a handwritten certificate over years. It has, however, been characterized with delays in the issuance by GRA, challenges in verifying genuine tax clearance certificates by recipients, and the use of fake tax clearance certificates, alleged malpractices of some tax officials, amongst others. So it is against this background and the problems associated with obtaining tax clearance certificates that I directed the leadership of the GRA to automate the process of obtaining a tax clearance certificate. The automations of repetitive tasks, these repetitive tasks are aimed at reducing the discretionary use of powers and its attendant corruption or alleged corruption by public officials while promoting voluntary compliance and friendly taxpaying environment.
Dr. Bawumia, who chairs the economic management team, also announced that the current administration has in recent times invited and solicited inputs from traders at Makola Market to largely improve the economy and tax culture in the informal sector.
At one of our economic management team meetings, we had market women from Makola, because we're trying to drill down on some of these issues in terms of people trying to, how easy it is for people to file taxes. What was interesting from the market women, they were very clear that they were in fact very willing to pay the taxes. But they were very concerned that the people who came to collect the taxes pocketed the money and didn't bring it to government. That was their biggest concern. I challenged the GRA to come up with a simple system to enable ordinary people to file and pay taxes using their mobile phones. The Domestic Tax Revenue Division of the GRA took up this challenge, and with its digitalization drive, is demystifying the tax compliance process with education campaigns and improving transparency in its tax administration by giving the taxpayer a self-service portal.
A tax expert, Dr. Ali Nachia, urged the political class to review the list of companies currently enjoying exemptions at the port. He believes a review could be a good place to start if the country is to change the status quo.
Publishing tax expenditure reports, the debate about exemptions being favoritism. Can we publish our tax expenditure reports and see what we are losing by the giveaways? If we are giving away an exemption to get something in return, like creating more employment, if they are not creating the employment, then they should pay the tax and we use the money to create the employment. If we are giving them the exemption so they can export and bring us the foreign exchange to shore up our CD dollar, and it's not happening, like we are currently facing, I call for a review and the monitoring of all those companies enjoying these kind of exemptions. Because they are to export and bring in the proceeds. Then we can shore up our currency. Why are we not seeing that?
Dr. Ali Nachia also charged the government to do more to raise the level of taxpayer population, which currently stands at 13.5%.
Now, fresh data from the Finance Ministry shows a significant shortfall in revenue from the controversial electronic transfer levy. The data shows government raked in less than 7% of its target. Isaac Ofeje, data analyst with our research, joins me in the studio with the details. Isaac, let's start first with what the projection was and how much was realized at the end of the quarter.
Right, and so this is a screenshot of the original document, which is the Finance Ministry's provisional fiscal data. So what I've highlighted here is the controversial electronic transaction levy, which is e-levy.
That's the purple line.
Exactly, the purple line. So if you look at e-levy, this captures the first and second quarter of 2022. The projected revenue, obviously we can't have anything for the first quarter because e-levy took off in May, and then we have June over there. So the projected revenue for the second quarter for e-levy, this is actually simplified. So the first quarter was supposed to give us some 1.46 billion Ghana cedis in terms of revenue for e-levy. Now, if you look at the provisional data that we have, and I must emphasize that this is provisional data, we are actually seeing governments reporting 93.7 million as how much they've actually collected from the projected target of 1.46 billion Ghana cedis. If you compare this 93.7 million to the 1.46 billion Ghana cedis, this is just a small fraction of the total, 6.4%. Now, if you compare this to what was revised, so and as you know, e-levy originally was supposed to bring in 6.9 billion Ghana cedis, revised significantly downwards to 4.5 billion cedis. If you do the math, that should give us around 1.5 billion cedis every quarter. If you compare this to how much we've collected in the provisional data, the 93.7 million is just 6.2% of what we've collected so far.
Now, let's look at the month-on-month, calculation.
Exactly.
How much? Because we've done this for May and June, right?
May and June.
So how much did we collect? Also, as against the transactions we've seen over the period.
Right.
Walk us through those.
So the data is actually here, and this is beautiful. If you look at May, the projected revenue for e-levy was 487.4 million cedis. Now, and let's look at this. 487 million, and this is how much government is reporting currently. Provisional, 39.4 million. If you do the fraction, this is just about 8.08% of the total. June was supposed to actually decline in terms of projection to 417.8 million. 54.3 million has been collected so far. That's according to the provisional data again, which is just 12.99%. So both May and June, if you look at how much government has actually collected in terms of what they've reported, we do not actually see even more than 20% being captured in the provisional fiscal data released by the Finance Ministry. Now, this is the interesting graph that I want us to look at. You can see the cyclical movement in terms of the total, how much we're actually getting from the total transactions from, Momo. This is actually mobile money. Now, before e-levy, somewhere around March 2022, we were around, the 90 billion column. Then
transactions actually increased.
Exactly. Then, right after the e-levy was passed, the controversies and all that, in May, you can see a decline from 87.7 billion Ghana cedis now to just 71.4. A sharp decline from 87 to 71.4 billion cedis. Now, after the e-levy was passed and all the controversies were around it, we saw that it, started climbing up again, about 8% from the 71.4 billion to now 77.4 billion. This is actually according to the summary data released by Bank of Ghana. So if you compare Bank of Ghana's data to what we are seeing currently, it means that we have total value of transactions going up, but how much government is actually getting from e-levy. This is provisional though, but it gives you a picture of how much the tax handle is performing. There is a huge gap between what we are actually getting in terms of transaction and how much we are getting from the tax handle.
So what could be accounting for the transactions, and what exactly are people doing? Is it that people are sending monies, below the 100 cedi treasury rate?
Well,
or that people are actually doing transactions that will, necessarily not attract the e-levy?
It's clear that transactions are going up. It means that people are doing the transaction all right, but they are
finding ways to evade.
Yes, to evade the tax handle, as the data is telling.
Kofi, thank you very much. Let's do some other stories now away from the tax handle, e-levy and the economy. The Asokore Mampong Magistrate Court has issued a warrant for the arrest of 61 persons suspected to be involved in last week's violence on the campus of the KNUST. This comes after 2 people arrested in connection with the incident were denied bail by the court. Now, 3 suspects are currently in police custody. Now, Jima has more in the following report.
The 2 suspects put before court include a past student of KNUST, Daniel Oseibunsu, 25 years, who is a mechanical engineer, and Francis Tutu Etuahene, a second-year student. They were charged with conspiracy to commit crime, routing with offensive weapons, causing unlawful damage, and causing unlawful harm. Counsels for the 2, William Asamoah Sapon and Yao Abebio, pleaded for their clients to be granted bail, but they were denied.
I'm highly disappointed. Highly disappointed. When you look at the facts, it doesn't support the charge. You see, it does not support the charge. So that is why we drew the judge's attention to it. I still say that it's a public interest. So you should exercise restraint for the police to go ahead and do their further investigation. We think that the judge was not fair to them. But we will take it and we will advise ourselves and see the next line of action.
This is an alleged offense, and then until he's proven guilty, he's deemed to be innocent. And then if by the time his innocence is proven, they are done with the exam, that would have been an irreparable damage caused to the education of the accused person. As I said, he's not a flight risk, he's in school. He remained in school even after the incident. He was just invited to by the police yesterday, and that was when he submitted himself, and then subsequently he was arrested. So it's quite surprising that for his case, he was refused bail.
The court's decision to refuse the bail was premised on rivalry among the students' body, damage caused and injuries. Their safety could therefore not be guaranteed. The court believes the police also acted in the confines of the law by presenting the suspects within 48 hours after their arrest. ACP Kofi Blagoji is head of legal and prosecution at the Ashanti Regional Police Command.
Within 48 hours, if you arrest accused persons, you have to produce them before the law court. And this is exactly what the police did. The lawyers for the accused persons came and applied for the bail. And then we also argue in our submissions that we needed accused persons to assist in investigations. And then the court heard us, and then they remanded accused persons.
11 other suspects who are at large have been identified by their nicknames. Together with 50 others, the police secured a warrant for their arrest.
We paid the court for a bench warrant, and then the court issued a bench warrant for the arrest of the other accused persons. So the police will look for them to get them arrested and then produce them before the court.
The 2 were remanded to police custody to reappear on September 8th. For Joy News, Nanaya Ojima, Kumasi.
This is Joy News Prime with me, Ernest Kojo Manu. We're taking a break. When we return, we'll bring you more. You want to stay with us. Hello again, thanks for staying with us here on Joy News Prime. The National Democratic Congress, NDC, says it recorded oversubscription of registration for party cards in the Ashanti region. Now, the registration target has been exceeded in some branches by over 100%. The party chairman, Samuel Ofosu-Ampofo, is attributing the increased numbers to the neglect of the region by the governing New Patriotic Party. Now, Jima has more in the following report.
The NDC targeted at least 25 people in each of the 6,700 branches in the Ashanti region. A total of 167,525 were expected. The party claims it has exceeded the expected number by about 100% in some of the branches. Barbara Sewa Samoa is Deputy Secretary in charge of Administration and Finance. She says the enthusiasm in the region is very high. Some branches have completed 3 booklets, each of them containing 25 sheets. It means 75 people have registered in the branch. This is common in the cities. In smaller communities, some have completed the booklet. Others are in the process.
So far, the estimation
Ashanti region remains the stronghold of the New Patriotic Party. In the 2020 general election, the National Democratic Congress attained 652,962 votes, representing 26.08% of the total votes cast. The figure is an improvement of votes attained in 2016, which stood at 497,242, representing 23.03%. As part of strategies to increase numbers in the region, the NDC has drafted its national and regional executives to register new members in the Ashanti region. Party Chairman Samuel Ofosu-Ampofo explains.
So I am not surprised that people are rushing in droves to come and sign up and become NDC members. It will be translated into the 2024 elections. And what we are doing is a deliberate attempt. It is a well-calculated strategy to ensure that we touch base with the polling stations where elections are won and ensure that every polling station in the Ashanti region, the 6,000 plus polling stations that we have in the Ashanti region, we install effective executives there who will police, protect, and ensure that the NDC victory is assured come 2024.
Meanwhile, the party is attributing the increase in fortunes in the Ashanti region to the failure of NPP to deliver on its promises. Mr. Ofosu-Ampofo touts achievements of the NDC in the region.
And the NDC has become very attractive in the Ashanti region because of the abysmal performance of the NPP and the failure to deliver on the promises that they gave to the people of Ashanti region. They have realized and compared that under NDC and John Mahama, there were a lot of developmental projects across the length and breadth of the region. And under the Nana Akufo-Addo administration, it is all about lip service. We will do this. They are building castles in the air. But when President Mahama comes to Ashanti region, he's able to face Otumfuo Asante and tells Asante that this and this and this and this and this is what I have done for the people of Ashanti region.
For Joy News, Nanaya Ojima, Kumasi.
Poor road network, that is one of the major concerns of residents in the Ashanti region. The region, which has always been the stronghold of the governing New Patriotic Party, has, according to residents, seen very little development during the party's tenure, triggering dissatisfaction and disaffection from party faithful. You would recall that Majority Leader Osechi Mensah Bonsu, during his visit to Swami Magazine, was booed and pelted by angry artisans over the poor road network in the area. While the Ashanti Regional Minister, Simon Mensah, has been dismissing the assertion that the party has neglected the region.
2017, the region has seen 336 separate road contracts with a total length of 6,498.75 kilometers. Out of this, 1,515.06 kilometers have been completed, representing about 23.3%. And the breakdown, we have the first table there for Department of Urban Routes. Department of Urban Routes has awarded 64 contracts. When it comes to the Ghana Highways Authority, they've also awarded 69 contracts. And then Feeder Routes has the largest, which is about 203 contracts, all summing up to the figure of 336. One area people have been yearning for is the construction of interchanges in the Ashanti region. Just on the 28th of July last month, Parliament approved a loan facility of 140 million euros for the construction of the Swami interchange. Besides that, let me explain some things or give additional information. The Sofo line interchange, which was started by former President Kufuor's regime, also had other interchanges included. One is the Bekwai roundabout interchange. The other will be the G roundabout overpass, which we also call interchange. So if the Sofo line interchange project is finally completed, then it means we have an interchange at Bekwai roundabout and also an interchange at Konfano Teaching Hospital roundabout.
Well, on health, the Minister Samuel Osemensa says there has been a 93% increase in the number of medical doctors in the Ashanti region since the NPP assumed office. According to him, in 2016, the region could boast of only 113 doctors, but the number has grown to 218 in 2022.
In 2016, doctors in Ashanti region were 113. As we speak, we have 218, an increase of 105, representing about 93% increase. Let me pick another one, nurses. Of late, I think the issue of nurses have come to the floor, so let me pick them as one of the examples. In 2016, we have 5,936 nurses in the Ashanti region. As we speak, we have 9,645, an increase of 3,709, representing about 62% increase. Let's move on to midwives. We had 1,131, now we have 3,114, difference of 1,983, representing 175%. When we come to the indicators, you realize that when we were the worst region in terms of health facilities, now the situation has significantly changed. And most of the indicators that we had fallen short of the target, now most of them we are within comfort levels within the target. And I'll give you first one, doctor to population ratio. 2016, it was 1:13,798. That meant that at that time, one doctor was to see 13,798 patients. As we speak, we've come down to 1:5,529, but the target is 1:7,500. So if you look at this, it means we are comfortably within the target.
Now, when it comes to education, the minister said senior high school enrollment has increased in the region by 63% from the year 2016 to 2022, owing to the implementation of the free SHS program.
$7,159 educational facilities within the region, excluding private schools. What I'm talking about are only public schools. Now, free SHS, here I'm looking at the trend. We are doing comparative analysis of enrollment from 2016 up to 2021. The total enrollment in 2016, both girls and boys, was 67,120. It moved after the introduction of the free SHS, increased by 23.6%, almost 24%, moved from 67 to 82,984. In 2021-2022, we had 109,857. You can see the significant jump from 67,000 to 109,000 plus. That is over about 64% increase. So it means that Ashanti region, looking at the numbers, 140 schools which means that we are one of the major beneficiaries of the President's free SHS policy.
Well, the Regional Minister, Samuel Osemensa, has been speaking to us about these developments and more in the following interview, but also dismissing the NDC's claim of increased membership in the region affecting the fortunes of the NPP.
To me, it hardens me, and it also put a lot of responsibility on me to sit and reflect on the development of the region so far. With press conference like what happened at Kwabri East, I'm not worried about it.
Why are you not worried?
It's a constitutional right, and the person used peaceful and constitutional means to express their worries and their concerns. That one I'm not worried. I'm worried where people try to take the law into their own hands and then maybe express their feelings. That one I don't support it. I don't subscribe to that one. To fully bridge the gap between the situation of the people that and the actual still some. So definitely once you've not been able to bridge that expectation gap, definitely people will complain. But I'll be the last person also to say that the Ashanti region has been sidelined in terms of development.
But you just said that, the expectation and infrastructure is very key in development, and especially in the region.
I'm saying
if you're saying that you have not bridged the gap.
Let's say the expectation gap is 100%.
Okay.
And we work up to be 60 or 50. You not fully bridge it.
Yes.
That doesn't mean if not performed.
But would you say that the concerns of neglect of the region is legitimate?
It's not.
Why is that?
Not fully, yes. One, let me give you spoke about roads.
Yes.
Since 2017, 336 road contracts have been awarded in Ashanti region alone. And with the length is 6,498 kilometers.
Okay.
So far, 1,515.75 of the 6,000 has been bitumen surface or asphalted, representing just about 23.3%. I want a single government since January 7, 1993 to date that has even performed that 23%. That's 1,515 kilometers of road for within 8 years. I want one regime since January 1993. But you see, had it not been the economic crisis, you mentioned and people say everything is the economic crisis. Why is that governments all over the world are mentioning COVID and then recently or this year, the Russia-Ukraine war? Every government, somebody should give me one government that has not cited that as a challenge.
But you see governments also moving away from the effect, from the ravages of the war, of COVID, for instance, and they're growing out of it. Why is
structures of governments vary. Structures of economies do vary. And depending on the structure of the economy, you may come out early or not. You see, if the war had been between maybe a certain country and another country, maybe the effect wouldn't have been serious on us.
So that is an indictment on management of the economy and the structures, wouldn't you say?
In all government, and that is what this government had wanted to address. You see, we talk about importation of rice, importation of maize, etc., tomatoes. That's why the government brought planting for food and jobs. And the government knows that if we should have abundant produce, we need a place to keep them. And that is why the introduction of one district, one warehouse. And even when you have the warehouse to keep, you cannot keep them forever, because assuming you have bumper harvest continuously for 10 years, all the silos will be full, all the warehouses will be full. So whilst you can export them, you have to also think about how to change them from raw material, ordinary raw products, to some processed goods.
So clearly, Honorable, you had a plan.
Yes, that's why one district, one factory came in. Mm-hmm. You see, these policies were not brought out in isolation.
But you have not delivered. That's the bottom line.
We were delivering until the onset of COVID. I want anybody who will be sincere to himself. Mm-hmm. I will not say that we have not delivered. We were delivering until the onset of COVID.
Okay. Let's return to the issue of the roads. I mean, that is at the heart of the concerns.
So I've told you 64 contracts under Department of Urban Roads, 69 contracts under Ghana Highways Authority, and 203 under feeder roads. Do you understand it?
Yeah.
You know, before the COVID, things were moving on all right.
Okay.
And if it had continued that way, and we had even completed even 50%, we will be talking about 3,000 plus kilometers of road. If we have gone to about 75, we'll be talking about somewhere around 5,000 plus kilometers of road. Mm-hmm. But because of the crisis, you know, the president, if he were to be a prophet, he would have been a perfect prophet. What the president told us during the peak of the COVID, maybe we look at it from the narrow point of view. We didn't do in-depth analysis to get the meaning of what the president was saying. When he said that if people lose their lives, we cannot bring them back to life. But when the economy fails, we can rebuild and bring back the economy. Do you understand it? All that he was saying that once there are some unbudgeted for expenditure we need to make, while there will be some revenue lapses, there will be decrease in revenue, but expenditure will go up. Definitely, simple economics will tell you that we are going to have economic difficulties. Mm. It will mean that the budget deficit is going to widen. And once this happens, it will affect several areas. So all that the president was telling the country is that with this pandemic, going forward, we will save lives, but there will be economic downturn in future. But we will know how to bring the economy back. So this is the time we have to work to bring the economy back.
And so for the thousands who are watching you right now in the Ashanti region, many of whom have been agitating for weeks now, how long should they wait to see the roads finished, tarred, and
I cannot give them time. Do you know why?
Why?
It depends on the performance of the economy and the ability of the government to pay the contractors who have left side. Mm. And I cannot sit here and give timelines because I don't hold the purse. And I don't know when whatever the government is doing, when we are going to get the money. So I don't want to give timelines. But all that I'm praying for, that all the measures and system put in place, all the area the government is trying to source for funding must be realized, even not in its entirety.
But the point of the people is that, granted that COVID has had its adverse effect on the economy, what did the government do for the region in its first term? I mean, this is your World Bank. In the last election, you performed 71%, the presidential election. The NDC obviously appreciated in terms of their figures. Today, we are hearing from the chairman of the NDC that they are carrying out some registration in the region, and they've seen 100% increase in terms of membership. They think that a lot more people are joining their party, and you should be worried about that.
You see, what NDC says in the region is what they are saying. I don't have access to their figures. I don't have access to their records. They have the access. They have said their questions. They have their marking scheme. They can mark it.
But you're not worried. You're not worried that the developments of today will affect your fortunes in 2024.
What I'm worried is when we is how to get money to give the contractors to go back to site. No NDC now. No.
But you've had the threats from the people themselves who have said that they are not going to give you their voter anymore because they feel you're taking them for granted.
We are not taking them for granted. So you allow me to explain,
okay,
so that the people will get better appreciation of what I'm telling them. What they did at Swami, I don't support them a bit, not a day, never.
You're talking of the pelting of the MP.
Because we knew the road was bad. We worked for the road to be given on contract.
Okay.
The contractor was working. There was shortage of bitumen in the country. This contractor, I commend him. I drove my heart to him. Had it been any other contractor, he wouldn't have even wasted his time to go and look for bitumen from other country because the government is already owing him. But he went to look for the bitumen. These people who organized the demonstration before the pelting of the Shashi water. Yeah. You went to the regional urban route engineer, and he told you that the contract has now got bitumen surface. Between Monday and Friday, he is coming to site. What do you have to do? You have to wait.
So the action they took was not justified?
Not. Why did they go to the regional urban route engineer if they don't believe him? So you go to the person, and then the next day you come and do demonstration. So why did they go to him then? To do what? 2, after the demonstration, we're not worried. We said if we went through the legal process, it's their constitutional right, they can do demonstration. The majority leader came to explain almost the same thing as the urban route director said. I also went on air, explained almost the same thing as the two of them had said. And we said they should wait between Friday and Monday, the contractor will be on site. As the member of parliament for the area, who has responsibility for their welfare, we've given promises and assurances. He was going there to check whether actually the contractor is on site. And when the contractor was on site, so he was moving with the regional urban rules director and a representative of the company. So where is the need for pelting of this thing? You want the people to be there, the people are there. So you pelt the majority leader water, Shashi water, for what reason? I don't support.
So what's the update of that project? Is it progressing steadily?
It's going on.
And we are to finish on schedule?
No, we cannot say he will finish on schedule because there was a time lag where he didn't work, where he was looking for the bitumen. Okay. And so definitely I cannot say that it will be on schedule. But what is important is that the contractor is on site and is working. Okay. But if we don't care, why did we give it on contract? And we gave it as an emergency contract, not a normal contract. So why did we do that?
So for some of the areas where you say contracts have been awarded, but the contractors have not mobilized to site, what is the...
Not that they've not mobilized to site. They were on site. Okay. We can have few, which will not be even up to maybe 2% of the total contract that have been awarded. They were on site, but due to non-payment of interim payment certificate, that's why they've left site. I use my own area, Bosomtwi, as an example. I'm from Bosomtwi. Education minister from Bosomtwi. Regional chairman from Bosomtwi. Do you think we'll be happy to have a contractor leaving site? Do you think? But when we know genuinely, and the president has said several times, that we owe the contractors, that is why most of them have left site. We are organizing to get some funds so that we can make some payment. You agree with me that during the first term, there are a lot of money that were paid. At a point, even those the government was owing less than or up to 2 million, were all paid. Okay. You do understand it? So if we want power, why shouldn't we pay them if the money is there?
So people must be patient.
Even today, during my presentation at Ministry of Information, I even expressed the appreciation of the region and the government to them, that they've had the patience. And we plead with them that things are not normal now. We beg them to exercise some more patience, and that when the contractors are paid, they will come back to site. If you talk about Kwabri East, any forum that I've been, you can call the road minister. I don't want to mention that. Call majority leader and all those people at any forum. I've agitated for Kwabri East. And it's not that the roads have not been awarded on contract. Some of them have been awarded on contract, but the same issue I'm talking about, they've left site. There's one contract I have asked that one we must terminate.
Okay, why?
That is Mampontin Town Road.
Why should they be terminated?
No, it was The groundbreaking was made in 2008 by the president. The contractor could not even finish with the drains. From 2018, we cannot continue like that. Let's get him off.
And you're sure that's not an issue of raising certificate and not being honored?
As you've seen, the work that has been done so far, I'm not a technical person, but I would doubt any certificates have been raised. And if a certificate has been raised, we can pay the person off.
Right.
And give it to somebody who has the capacity. To me, as I've told you, I'm a layman. When it comes to road construction, from my layman point of view, the person hasn't got the capacity. When you go to site and you see contractor that has capacity, you see the equipment that the contractor is using. But when you go and you see one day one machinery, sometimes two, maximum three, you can't convince me that such a contractor has the capacity.
So it doesn't give you the confidence that he can do the job. But let's talk about healthcare infrastructure whilst you're there. I mean, since 2018, January, I think, when the Rebecca Foundation, together with the Multimedia Group and your good office, collaborated to build the MBU, I don't quite remember seeing any major facility being commissioned since then. Why is that?
Anyway, not being commissioned.
Yes.
It's surprising, maybe you've forgotten. But the president commissioned the Kwai Hospital.
Okay.
In December 2020, before the elections. I think October or November 2020.
Is it operational?
It's operational.
Okay.
It's operational. And that hospital was started during the time of the late President Kuchwe Champo. And governments have come, they all continue, they've done their part. The president came, he said, no, this one, we should finish it this time during my first term. We can't wait any longer. He continued with what his predecessors had done, and it was commissioned as functional.
Okay.
Tepa Hospital was also commissioned in 2020. It's part of the Irujet project, and it's also functional. Now, Konongo Hospital is completed, awaiting commissioning.
Okay.
So
how about the Afari Military Hospital?
Afari Military Hospital, yes, that is about 97%. They are relaying some pipelines, some cables underground. We have almost all the equipment in place, installed. And then the challenge they had at a point was the power supply from the main transformer there. They said it wasn't adequate, and truly a 500-bed capacity hospital definitely cannot use transformer. They requested for ECG substation, which we've constructed one for them. Okay. So that problem is also resolved. What they are working on, apart from the cables, are the residential accommodation for the doctors and the nurses. Most of them have been roofed. Okay. Most of them have been plastered. Others have been plastered. Some of them, the last time I went there, they were laying the tiles and all those things. So these are the few things left.
How about Agenda 111? I think you have about 13 in your region.
It's 14. Unfortunately, there's one. I don't know why we omitted it. It's under KMA.
Okay.
And that one, they started, but there's problem with the site.
Where are we with the construction?
Oh, the highest now is about 40%. Some of them 30, some of them 15. Only one has not started. Or let's see, let me add the Bushen one under KMA, because they started and they have challenges with the land. So they are looking for a new site. So I can say that one too is the same.
With 40% so far being the highest, would you say that they are on schedule, and by the end of the president's term, we're going to see these hospitals up?
I cannot promise all of them to be completed. But I can say some of them will be completed. Because definitely they will be at various stages of completion. If you take a Sokore Mampong, the land they provided, the consultant said it's not suitable. They've now acquired a new land where the contractors are supposed to go there and certify whether it's good for the purpose.
And we'll have the full interview on Joy News Extra and other programs here on Joy News. But you can also find it on our social media handles and on YouTube. Just before we go, the EcoBank Joy News Habitat Fair kicked off today, Wednesday, at the Accra International Conference Center, with patrons already enjoying big and exclusive discounts. Also on display is innovation. Imagine being able to control the light in your room using an app on your phone with the ability to switch to a limitless number of lights. You can also change the light of your room from your phone to the suit to suit the mood that you actually desire. Max Obeba has been interacting with the exhibitors and brings us more in the following report.
The moment we've all been waiting for is here. What makes the EcoBank Joy News Habitat Fair different from other fairs is that it's an assembly, it's a congregation of experts in the business. Many of them are pioneers in their space. We've had a lot of patrons, coming through. You can see from the other side, many of them gathered checking out what our exhibitors have on offer here. I mean, particularly, I'm intrigued by the innovation of many of our exhibitors here. And this is just one of them, Bamboo Products Limited.
So we have the pergolas, the fencing, the ceiling, shelters, and partitions. So these are some of our products. We have the weaved 4x4 panel. We have the weaved bamboo 4x4 panel for the ceiling. We use it for
so the ceiling. Use a bamboo for my ceiling.
Yeah, you can really use it for your ceiling. Both your house, your stores, everywhere you can use the bamboo weaved for it. We have this one, so we have different samples. This is for fencing. We have this one for fencing. Yeah. This one too is being used for fencing. This one too is being used for fencing. This is a smaller weaved panel form of it. We also have the bamboo stand, which you can use it in your office, your home. You can put your files on it. You can put your files under over here. We have all these times.
Okay. Something that I've seen here is a smart light, right?
Yes, the Philips Wiz Connect light. So it's a smart light. It's one of the most innovative lights you can find on the market now from Philips. Very beautiful light that you can control it from the comfort of your own home. It gives you over millions of colors of light.
Over million
colors of light. This is a light that you choose what kind of color you want in your room. So I just wanted to show you. So this is what we have. We have installed some of the waist lights, like you can see. Yeah. This is giving you a Christmas feeling.
Yeah.
And you can change it to any other color temperature that you prefer. Yeah. So I'm just trying to do a little demonstration with the app on my phone.
So you are controlling this light using this app on your phone?
This app on my phone, yeah. Okay. And I can change it to any color I want.
Yeah.
Like whatever I feel, I can basically I'm managing the light based on my own feeling. Yeah. If I want it to be in the TV setting for me, the light will give me that setting.
And you're telling me that with the app that you have on your phone, you can change the light to suit the mood that you want.
Exactly.
So if you want a romantic mood, you can get that.
Yeah,
if you want, which other mood?
Yeah, so I mean, even on the app, they've already saved certain settings for you.
Okay.
I mean, romantic settings. There's a movie settings for you. There's a party settings for you. There's a whole lot of settings that the app itself we have saved for you. You can choose to decide which other setting that you also want to come on by itself. You just need to,
like you can see in the background. So it's not just older folks coming around, but you can see young people coming here together with their parents. So families are actually coming around. Some of the people I spoke to earlier were telling me that they had to ask permission from the workplace, to come here. They're going to come right after work. So there's no restriction as to who can come here.
I'm looking at it. I'm going around and doing assessment and look at it so that I can pinpoint to a particular one.
But you like what you've seen?
Come again?
Do you like what you've seen?
Oh yeah, I'm impressed. I came with my son also to look at it so that I be able to advise. So he asked me to join him for this purpose.
Okay, thank you.
Day one was exciting. Day two promises to be more exciting with lots of giveaways. Be there at the Accra International Conference Center. That's our show for tonight. I'm Ernest Kojo Manu.